So first we're going to peel the backing of just one side. You want to make sure that you keep the backing on the other side so it doesn't get scratched or dirty while we're working on our side here. So you're just going to peel that back, and then we're going to take our double-sided tape and just trim that to the shape of your acrylic blank. If you have a little excess hanging over, that's perfectly fine. We can trim that once we apply it. So now we're just going to peel one side of our double-sided tape, and then we're going to press the acrylic blank down onto the tape. You want to make sure that you press firmly and that you are not getting any of those air bubbles, so make sure that you line it up before you press it down, and then you can use a squeegee tool like I did here and just make sure to rub out any of those air bubbles. So I'm just using my X-Acto knife to cut out the tape from the hole for the keychain, and then I'm just going to go around the edges of the blank just to make sure I trim off any of that excess tape. Once I have that all trimmed, I'm going to remove the backing from my double-sided tape, so now it should be sticky, and then I'm going to take my foil and I'm going to press it firmly down onto the blank and just use the same squeegee to make sure that I don't have any of those air bubbles. You want to make sure that you don't press too firmly when you're using the squeegee for the foil because it will leave scratch marks, so just lightly press down and then peel it off, and then your foil should have completely transferred to the tape, and then you can just trim off any of the extra excess from the tape that you had. And now we're ready to do the back. If you plan on using UV resin like I did here, you can add a layer of that first like I am doing before you start on the back, or if you're using just regular epoxy, the foil is pretty resilient, so if you place this down and you're doing the back, you shouldn't have to worry about it rubbing off or scratching off. But I'm just adding a thin layer of my UV resin. I'm going to spritz it with alcohol, let that cure, and then we'll apply our glitter to the back. So now I'm peeling the backing off of the other side of our acrylic blank, and you'll see the foil pattern obviously is not on this side as it's only the one side. So now I'm adding an NFC tag to my keychain here, which I will show you how to program towards the end. And then I'm going to just pour in a little bit of my UV resin into a measuring cup, and then I'm going to mix my glitter directly into the UV resin, and we're going to apply that to the back. You want to make sure that you're not using too much glitter with your UV resin, otherwise it will have a harder time curing. So I just mixed up some of the glitter and I'm applying that over the entire back of my keychain here. Now, because I am using white glitter, the tag still does slightly show through, but that wasn't a bother for me. You could always use a darker color glitter and that would completely hide the NFC tag, but I really liked this color with this pattern, so that's what we went with. Now, you don't have to use UV resin. You could absolutely do this same method and just use regular epoxy for this as well. So I'm just making sure that I am covering all of my edges and getting it as level as I possibly can. I want a nice thin layer of my glitter mix here. And then I'm going to let that cure and then apply another layer of either UV resin or epoxy and let that cure. So for this super simple beaded keychain, I'm just going to take my piece of elastic and fold that over in half so that I have both ends of the string on the same side. And then I'm going to take the beads and just simply slot them through both ends of the elastic. And you can do as many or as little beads as you want on your keychain. And then what I recommend doing is using this little small spacer bead always at the end. This is going to help everything keep in place, and then that way you don't have to tie so many knots or worry about your beads slipping off. And then I'm just going to double knot my elastic, make sure that it is thick enough to where the beads will not slide off. And then for my keychain, I'm just using this simple key ring here, and I'm going to attach that to our keychain, and that's it. If you added an NFC tag, I will have the social media mold video linked below where you can see how to program that. Don't forget, if you want to customize this, you can always go in with vinyl or water slide and add your logo to make it personable as well. Thanks so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed!